Hello and welcome to the Faith Building Podcast with your lovely and amazing hosts, Vladi Kuna.
And Norman Gräter. Good morning.
And good day and good evening wherever you are in this world. We want to speak about two words that you're probably aware of. They could be when and then, or if and then. Oh, when the government changes, then I would be happy. If I meet someone in the bar tonight, then I will feel love again. It's always the sentence of something needs to happen that something else happens. And we could, if we twist it a little bit, say we have two different consciousness. It's the consciousness we have right now in this current situation, as it is in this very second. And the second state of consciousness is our wish fulfilled, the desire fulfilled. Now, there's a difference in between those two because there's a reward. If you reach your goal, your vision, whatever you want to have, there is something you gain. What do you gain? A different feeling, right? Oh, when the government changes, then I would be more happy, fulfilled, joyful. It's a feeling. So we are always going after the feeling. Now, having that said, we want to twist it a little bit and say, is it worth to fight for something? Because Vladi and I were just talking about it off record, and we thought this could be a very interesting topic. Because very often in our personal development area, as you know, and that's why I brought the example with when, then, if, then, you need to be happy right now. Because if the second state of consciousness, when you have achieved your vision, your goal, your target, is a better feeling, according to the law of attraction or karma, it would be very nice if you're happy right now, which means you send out happiness and you attract more happiness. And now we look into the world, and let's just take Dr. Martin Luther King. He stood up for the rights, and at the end of the day, he was even shot and paid with his life. Now we can say it changed a lot, but this did not really help him as a human being. It helped people of color, of course, very much. And Vladi and I were talking about that. Is it worth to stand up, not just for your opinion with your neighbors, that's a small piece of cake, but on a bigger scale? Because as we know, if it's the government, if it's big companies, if it's pharma, if it's whatever big, huge oil company you want to take, they have so much power and money and lawyers and everything that's connected to it, they can basically ruin your life overnight. Probably does not even take overnight. It just takes one call or one email and your accounts are blocked and nothing works anymore, especially in our digital world. So our question for today is it worth standing up? And as you know, always with the Faith Building Podcast, we are here to build your faith and not to tell you what's right or wrong, because we assume you're very smart. So we don't give you an idea and say you should rather think this or that way. Because especially in this topic, after speaking to Vladi for 30 minutes, I think we both would not say the one is right and the one is wrong. The question is, which path do you choose? And we would just put a little spotlight on each and every position to, yeah, you should go for it or you should not go for it. And I'm very interested what Vladi thinks about it.
Start with awareness. Awareness is everything. We've heard it so many times from so many mentors, and it really is true. The more you're aware and understanding, I'm going to actually blend them, awareness and understanding, because the more we are aware, and the deeper we understand, and I mean true understanding, we're talking about mind here all the time and mindset. So, you know, I'm talking about proper understanding things. We often say, well, I know, but knowing, doing gap is that really the fall of misunderstanding, because we don't know enough of the subject, or we've heard something, we accepted opinion before we really find out more. I've experienced it so many times, you know, like there's something happening in the world and people get so mad. I mean, the emotion scale that people can fly from up and down when something great happens. I mean, we don't really hear great news on the news, so there's always something wrong happening. But it flares people up. It's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that. I can't believe this president won, and I can't believe this politics, and I can't believe the war, and I can't. But how much do we really know what's going on about? What if there's just this show that is put up on And again, like Norman said, make your own opinion. This is just to kind of throwing what if, what if question. What if there is just to show how well do you know about the subject? How much information we know? I mean, there's so many times, there's hardly any truth behind. And then sometimes people come with part of the truth and I call conspiracy theory. So again, weigh these two against each other and make your own mind what do you want to believe. But my grandmother used to say, there's always a bit of truth everywhere. So I always go back to her sentence where she said, even with the mean people, darkness, light, whatever's happening, there is always a bit of truth everywhere. Because you can't have 100% greatness, you can't have 100% dark. We often talk about the sign, the feng shui side. You can even see the black side has a tiny dot that is white, and the white side a tiny dot that is black, because there is good in everything and everyone. Unfortunately, there is bad in everything and everyone. It can be the best angel person ever. There is the darkness which sits within. It is just who we feed the most. Are we showing up and operating from the frequency and a place of love, kindness, and if dominant part of you, which I'm going to say that again, dominant part of you, not that you do 2 acts of kindness and then think about horrible things rest of the day, the dominant part of you, who do you vibrate as dominant part of the day? Are your thoughts more positive? Are you feeling good? Like Norman said, feel good now. It's such a great point to start. Because if something doesn't make you feel good, then it's wrong for you. And this is why there's no right or wrong. But there is right and wrong for individuals. Because I tie it into the fulfillment that Norman was talking about. Do you stand up to the rights and the truth? I often actually choose to stand up even if it's for my personal loss. Why? Because it actually fulfills me. And it's funny because when we talked before we hit the record with Norman, I didn't think of it this way. And as we're talking and Norman started, I thought, why do I do it? Sometimes it would be so much easier if I just took the money, coach the people, do certain things. It's not just about coaching, by the way. I'm talking about every part of your life with the love and with the stuff that, because it's actually so much beneficial. Is it better not just to have easy life and just to be happy, have more money? And who cares about the truth? Well, I do, because that is the core of who I am. I have zero tolerance for lies. Well, below zero phrasing tolerance for lies. And that's what stems out for me to be fulfilled when I speak the truth. Now, is it always the truth? Do I always have the full pictures? Am I fully aware of things? No. This is why lately I've been practicing a lot observing. And that's what people need to do before you react instead of responding, because you cannot respond unless you're aware and have understanding. So bringing you back to the point, the more we focus on, I want to be more aware. And part of the awareness comes back to history. We don't study enough history. We don't study enough of specific cases, why people did what they did. Did Martin Luther King, since we mentioned him, and all the others that we actually can say thank you for the life we're experiencing, because they stood up for certain rights. There's so many amazing changes that, let's focus on the great things that happened. So there are so many amazing changes that happen in the world, and they happen because of somebody stood up for the truth. Now, was it worthy for them? I like to personally believe it was. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done it, right? Why would you stand up for something unless you really, truly believe it with your entire being? Now, yes, they may have been manipulated and do certain things, because that's what happens. And maybe you've done a wrong decision, but it doesn't matter, because they did the best they could, and they, with their entire being, believed it's true. I think that's the point, that it comes to what do you choose to do. If you, with your full being, absolutely believe that that is the truth, then it's worth for you to go for it, right? If you don't believe, you don't have information, and you feel this kind of, I'm not really sure. I mean, why would you? Because usually when you stand up for the truth, there's a part of a personal loss entitled to that. Like, is that, it's just my perception again. So it seems to be that we always, if you speak those, truths, perhaps social media, if it's something against the government and stuff, they will shut down your account. And they say you have a freedom to speak. These days we live in a world where you have a freedom to speak. Do you really? Again, that's a question for you to answer. But that is the thing. It's like we have all the freedom. Well, do we really have all the freedom? Because when the phones were on the cables, you remember? I mean, I remember still as a child. Off top of my head, I could dial my mom's, and my family has loads of family members. I could dial their number off top of my head and just dial them from the cable phone. Now, I know 3 numbers. I mean, if somebody says I can't actually reach out to many people apart from my husband and my sister, and that's pretty much it. I don't know anyone's number. Why? Because we became a slave. I mean, again, perception, you can say it as a slave, but it would serve your memory to practice certain numbers. It would serve your whatever happens, and you know the number. You never know. We might be in a situation, the battery dies and stuff. So you choose. But we were now with the phones running around, having everything in them. Would you not actually think about it for a second and say, when we were tied to the phone, now we're actually, our freedom's tied to this because we're scrolling, we're not paying attention to the people. Before, you would call people from the phone that was in the phone box, and then you would go and have life. You would enjoy it. You would find joy in that moment, like, no, enjoy the moment. You would pay attention. Now we're all focusing on taking pictures and videos of everything we do. But are we doing it more than actually enjoying the experience we went through? We're recording the concerts, and, we were standing at the concerts, and it's amazing vibe, And are you actually spending more time trying to record a concert and bring it down and taking pictures that you actually completely lose the full in connection to the music, to the people around you, because you're too busy recording it and posting it and tagging yourself and tagging your friends, and you're actually not present in that joyous moment. That concert you've been waiting for forever to be in, to have this high vibe, but you're just disconnecting yourself, thinking, oh my God, I've got all this. But it's even sometimes when I take videos, I always point the phone and I'm actually fully present in there. Sometimes you can see the video goes like all over because I'm not paying attention while I'm recording. You can hold it and stand it somewhere, and I'm really doing the full, but I've started recording less, and it is changing my life for better. Norman, back to you.
I love that, and I'm guilty as charged with taking phones and videos. But
We all
was
are.
more reminded of a movie. I think it was Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise. The truth, you can't handle the truth. And while I listened to you, Vladi, I thought about the truth, and something came to my mind. And this is my biggest challenge in this whole topic. Like, how much do you stand up and how much do you just stay down and feel happy in the moment, in your surrounding, with your fence around your house, and you live your life happily ever after. I listened to a podcast, German podcaster. He interviewed one of the big guys from one of the German parties, a right-wing party, and everybody thinks he's the devil. The podcast lasts 3.5 hours. And I listen to that as well, because usually I listen to all of the podcasts the guy does. He has a very good style to interview people. And I never heard about the guy before, as I don't watch the news. So I just read the name in the description and I thought, who is that? And probably everybody says, oh, you're really living in the woods. No, I just don't care about politics and about news and stuff like that. So I listened to him, and without any judgment, just knowing the party's name, I thought at the end of the 3.5 hours, interesting ideas. Like, he basically speaks out of the heart of every German. So I spoke to someone about it, and I said, that's very interesting what he said. Oh no, he's the devil. I said, just listen to that podcast. I mean, he talked for 3.5 hours. It's not that somebody said, I heard him speak and I wrote about it, or some journalist or something. No. He said this at this meeting and that at that meeting. And I really thought about that. I thought, who should I trust now? Should I trust the person that I heard for 3.5 hours and I have a feeling, because you get the sense, the vibration, whatever, and it doesn't matter. Probably he played a role for 3.5 hours, but usually you cannot hold your role for 3.5 hours, and that's why those podcasts from this guy are so long. Usually after 1 hour, 1.5 hours, the people break. They break out of their regular norm, break out of the thing they play and pretend, because it goes deeper and deeper, and at one point you just cannot play that role anymore. You become more normal. And I had a quite positive feeling about what I heard from him. Now, other people tell me, no, you cannot trust him. He lied because see, he said this over there and this over there. And I thought, how do you know that? Yeah, I saw it in the news. So there was a conference, and out of maybe a 1 hour speech, they showed 2 segments with 15 seconds. Yes. And based on those 2, you say he's evil. Yes. Because see, that's the proof. And this is my point where I say, what is the truth? Even if you get it from the person directly, they can still lie at you. And if you don't have good senses or good feeling and say, I can spot the bullshit, if they just, but then stepping you with the knife in the back. And based on that I cannot say what I hear from other people or from the news is the truth. I can only rely on the person itself. But if they're honest or if they lie, I don't know. And even if Vladi tells me a story and I would retell the story, it would already be a different story. It would have my sparkle of truth in it. So what is the truth that we say we have to fight for the truth? Which truth? And that's one point what I know 100%. The only truth that is really true is your own truth, your perception of things, your rules, your values, the lies you have been told, the lies you're telling yourself. And with lies, I mean, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, others are better. I'm a woman. I'm a man. I don't have a chance. All those BS lies that you just don't live your full power. That you can throw out the window right away. And based on that not existing truth, because the truth really comes through your pair of glasses that you put on every day and the filters that you put in through news, through podcasts, through talks, through friends, education, everything you do, you have your own world with your own truth. And should this be worth fighting for? Where you say, I fight for the rights for the Germans or the British or the Americans or the Czech or whoever. Now, who says this with all your upbringing that your truth is the truth that we all should live? Yeah, because it's better than what we already have. In theory, yes. It's like in Germany with the green people that say, oh, we need to take all the, what's the name? The atomic power stations off because they're destroying the planet. Yeah, now we shut it off and we have to buy for a fortune the power from other countries that still use it, because with those little wind thingings that we have and solar, it's just not enough. So the truth might sound smart in the first moment when you say, we need to stop everything. Just electronic cars from now on. That sounds very smart, but what happens with the batteries afterwards? Where do we put them? Where do we throw them or dig them? Oh, we never thought about that. And this is my personal opinion about, I always have an issue with this truth thing, because the truth can change in every second, with every information, with every point of view. And therefore, if I would have to bet money on each side to say, would I rather go and fight for my truth, or rather say, just let it go, live an easy life, be happily ever after with the people that you love, and let the stupid and mad people destroy themselves, I just stay out of it. I would bet a little bit more money on that, because, and I will tell you in the next part a little bit about that, because Vladi mentioned it, or probably you can speak about that, Vladi. You said the moment somebody steps up, the vibration changes, because that could be also an interesting thing, right?
Yes. When we go back to the teachings, to the really core of the whole mind, which is you feed where the energy goes, where your attention goes. You fuel the darkness or the light. So this is why this is such a subject we like to say, well, like just to talk about that, and what's your opinion? Because do you actually give power to people that, if you know the truth, once you find out, let's say you have a partner, whichever, choose whether it's personal or business or it's school or teaching, some kind of important figure in your life, and you find out they're criminals and dealing with drugs and trafficking kids. Like, I'm making up a really horrible story, but I want to make the hell and heaven story. Once you find out what they do, and you're going to give them a benefit of doubt, right? He was like, there's no way this person, he's been in my life, I know them for a long time. But once they convicted and you find the truth, or you really, like, you never really know the full truth. That's the thing. It's like we actually never find out what was the reasons, what was the state of mind of the person, why they did what they did. But if we know willingly, so when we go back to understanding and awareness, once you know something, then your intention changes. And I know this is true, scientifically proven. Once we're aware of something, so let's say you're supporting an organization which is helping children, but there is a proof that actually they've been funding these funds for guns, whatever. The minute you find out, that is the decision you make, whether you're carrying on to support that or not. It's still up to you. You have a free will to decide to do whatever you want. But you can't blame yourself that you've been actually funding something that is contributing to killing lives or anything, because you did not know. So when you're doing things out of not being aware, the vibration is lower. You're on much lower frequency. The intention's not there. Now, then, once you're aware what's happening and you still say, well, it's okay, I've been, I'm still, now you're choosing differently. Now you're fully involving your conscious mind, and you're adding your energy and awareness, and you're coming from a different point of making a decision. So what do you decide? Again, it is your personal decision. But I really want to speak to the truth, but where the word truth. I think it's really important we realize that whatever's coming to us, it's the depth of research we do and we listen to it. Do you know why all these things? Think about that this universe works in divine order. And did you know, my friend Susanna Mihajlovic said to me that was the sentence that woken her up, and but actually, funnily enough, by our mentor Bob Proctor, when he said, did you know that if you, particularly you, every single one of you who's hearing us, weren't here, this entire universe is out of order. This is how important you are to be here, because if you weren't here, even our lives would get affected. We don't step up and take our own responsibility, how important our entire being is here. So if somebody chooses to fight for the truth, as we say, it's because they've experienced certain things. And I like to point out what Norman said. It's really important, who is that person? Is it someone who always complains, doesn't really know what's happening, it just likes to moan and BFW about everything? We refer to it as a bitching, moaning, whining. If that is the case, it's who is this person? If it comes from someone who's always, reading, not just listening to the news, but talking to people, understanding the stories. Now, the truth hits differently, because if you're the person who's doing way more than just reading someone's post and believing it, but you're monitoring it, you need to observe what's happening for a while. If you're in there, then you do have a power to understand, because you've been there for a while, you've been watching what's happening, you've been paying attention to it. Part of it is true. How much of that is true, you will again never find out, because you're just hearing the stories from other people. Like Norman pointed out, that's a great one, by the way, because it's called Chinese whispers. And we used to play this with the kids. You put them in a circle, you whisper them a sentence. By the time the sentence comes through 10 people, it's completely different thing. It's not even in the area that it starts. Do we do this as adults? Absolutely. We tell the truth through our own feelings. It upsets us, it does certain things. So if we can separate the emotions and just look at the facts, they're not always the truth, but then you put these facts in front of 10 different people and they will have a different perception on it. Where it changes is when you get involved emotionally and it's your personal experience. If you personally experience certain things, you're going to have a different opinion on it, because you've experienced it through your own life. And Norman's going to experience it through his life, and then we can talk about it. But pretty much truth is somewhere, because, you can monitor these people for a while. And if you see that, if somebody lies to you or cheats on you, and it's truth, well, you better wake up. right? So you have to, what is the point where you say no more? What I like to do is like you visualize. I always like when I find out something or someone around me, something's happening, and I like I know it's a lie, especially that is my thing. It's like if I know they lie and cheat and really do. What I tend to do is I observe it for so long, and sometimes this is it's my personal disadvantage because I'm going down with it. I give these people hope for a long time. I visualize that they're changing for better. Remember, you can never interfere with anybody's journey. So don't teach people lessons just because you want them to. That's not your job to teach someone lesson in a real life. It's your job to shine your light, do the things the best way you can, and guide them by the way you actually act, not the way you speak, the way you act. Because like you can say anything and do the other thing. This is what we see a lot out there. People speaking something, but then they're actually doing something else. And then they throw you the story they want on social media, and then this is what you read and believe. No, always feel the people and really speak to the audiences as well. Once what's funny? So much is outside online. If you actually travel to people's lives in their towns with their friends, their family, and started asking what that person really is and start paying attention how they act in their own environment, who they are as that person, who they live, because we don't really see these people in their own lives. We see so many of us just here. So how do you know that they don't go back and just do something that you would never like, but they smiling at you through the camera and you're like, oh my God, I love them. Well, there's always a bit of truth everywhere. So the truth you choose is really observe. But all the positive and negative things come to you for a reason. So you've meant to hear the bad stories, you've meant to experience the bad things as well with the good things, and as well as the very feel-good experiences. Now you need to make up your life out of the things that vibe for you. I've had bad feeling about certain people and things and the way we operated and, in the business and personal life. And my gut was screaming, saying, oh my God, this is just such a manipulation and lies. And, like you can see that how people sort of energetically show up and who they really are. I have an internal GPS for this kind of, I can pick up on people's energies. And it's only because my entire life core's value is truth. And I affirmed it for 45 years so strongly that I can now pick up on the energy that's not in alignment with it because I live it. And that's how you get your truth. When you truly live it, not just talking about it, but you truly, truly live it, you're really doing your best to stay observant, stay the least judgmental. We all judge. So, there is no such a person who says, well, I don't judge. Well, we all do because that's just who we are. But you can get that under control, and how much you allow influencers and people to tell you what really is true. What if you took all of this as a guidance to find out for yourself because it will lead you, and it will lead you to different people than it will lead me. So if Norman's researching certain person and I'm researching exactly the same person, we will probably both read different things and perceive them differently through our own life experience and stories. And then we can meet, and this is where the power of masterminds go. Then we come and talk and we're like, oh, I didn't think of that. Like I really put so much opinion on this, and I'm like, yeah, you're right, actually, I haven't considered that. But then you're coming from the place where you're talking to the right person, like Norman pointed out. Who do you listening to? That is the key to everything. Who are you listening to? How about them showing up in your life? Are they just speaking and doing different things that you can't expect that? And if you don't like something, remove yourself from it. That's been my master key. I remove myself from it. I visualize it for a long time to changing for the better. If it doesn't work, I just get myself out of it. Only tell the closest people so they don't get hurt, but they can choose what they want. They don't have to believe it, because it was my personal experience. Doesn't mean that, it would be somebody else's, because also it's the intensity of an involvement with that person or the thing that we each have that makes it stronger or weaker. So would we rather be happy, or would we rather find the truth? Leave that to you. I'd say both are truth it depends what is your emotional state and where is your particular part of the journey. Because you will be experiencing things that is in your business, in your love life, in your health, where if you get the diagnosis, you will put more intensity on it and you will start taking the truth differently. Whereas if you're healthy, you're taking it differently. So it's also, where are you on the scale of frequency and emotional scale when you're making a decisions to fight for the truth? Of course, you will fight for it when something goes really wrong and you want to help yourself first and then others. Not like you say others. You're doing it for yourself first. And I'll let Norman close. Goes too long.
Not at all. Because as we just spoke about it, there's no truth. So we can bend it to left and right. And while I listened to you, Vladi, I even thought about my own truth. If you would ask my 5 neighbors, they could not tell a lot about me because I don't really are in touch with them. I'm happy in my little space, safe space here. Maybe if you ask my 5 core best people, whatever you want to name them, they would also have an opinion. Then the people from the choir, I think, would have a different opinion. People I work with would have an opinion. And I think it would blend very often that people would say he's always smiling, he's in a good mood, he's shining. And then you ask one more person, you ask Anke. Is Norman smiling all the time like he's doing when he's with the choir and with the clients and with friends? And she said, I can tell you the real story. And I think this is where the book closes. And as Vladi is already smiling, what is my own truth? There is no truth because we have what you shared earlier with the yin and the yang, the left, the right, the good and the bad. I just remember, and I want to close with that, Alice Hertz Summer, I think is her name, the lady number 7. Phil Goldfine, his Oscar movie, it's about her life. She was the oldest still living Holocaust survivor. And I saw an interview of her with Tony Robbins, I think it was. And he asked, do you hate the people that basically killed your family and did this to you in the concentration camp? And she said, no. And Tony said, why don't you hate those people? I mean, they killed your family. I don't get it. And she said in a very kind of loving way, I don't hate anyone because everybody is good and everybody is bad. And therefore, I don't hate anyone. And it's the same with us. So if we cannot pinpoint down the truth for ourselves to say we are only this, then we for sure cannot do it with other people. And that some business partners are screwy jerks on the business side, but very lovingly with their family on the other side. It depends who you ask. So what is the truth? And I think based on all those informations, the more people you ask, the more opinions you have. But this does not help because the real truth, the real 360 degrees, you will never ever find out. Maybe if you're married to someone, then you're very close, but even there the person could hide something. You will never know it, same with you. Therefore, find a way that suits you. And just to say, I read more news, I listen to more podcasts, I watch more YouTube videos to get more and more informations. Yeah, you get more informations from people that made out their own truth based on supposedly facts. But like Vladi said earlier, give the same message to 10 people. She said it a little bit different. But if you give the same message to 10 people and tell the 10 people, now write an essay about it, you would have 10 different essays. And that's why I decided for myself, I keep it in many cases very low. I don't want to speak about politics, don't want to speak about religion. I keep out of those main areas and fly through the middle. Do I have an opinion about everything? Yes, but I don't need to share it. And probably that's for nowadays a good idea to take home. Everybody has opinions, but the question is, does the world need to listen to all opinions? Because if I would talk about politics, it would be a very bad opinion because I heard a little here, a little there, have a little bit experience over here, and now I stand up and say, now my opinion has value. No, it has not. I'm not in this business. I'm not interested. But on the internet, everybody talks about everything, and 99.9% is just bogus because people just heard something and they retold the story, and therefore we wish you all the best for the upcoming week and your upcoming life in deciding what your truth and your real truth will be. And just as a last note, always keep in mind, the only interest each and every person has is always in themselves. Even the people that want to inform you, it's all about themselves. And if you have that in mind, that basically nobody cares about you, they only care about themselves at the end of the day. This probably helps you to put all opinions in different shelves and see what suits you. And we hear and see you again next week. Until then, bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.